You're listening to the Rodney Anderson Radio Show, right here on 1190 AM.
All right, welcome back to the show. Rob the Baldwin is here, as always, running the boards, producing the show. Amy Vanderoff, you know her as one of Dallas's top 10 most influential women from Good Morning Texas. AmyVanderoff.com is her website. 1-800-EXPRESS is our number. But our special guest today, Linda McMahon, most people know her from the old WWE. I mean, it's been around forever. I mean, I'll never forget watching WrestleMania 1. We grew up broke ass. You know, my dad was a plumber, my mom was a maid. But the one thing that we had to do in the old days was when we had the satellites and all that stuff. Oh, yeah, you had to get WrestleMania because that was one of the cool things. Been to several events in the old days when I was 15 to 18, one of the biggest fans in the world. But here is one of the most successful women in a man's world of WWE who ran this company, who doesn't get all the notoriety for it all the time. But she really transitioned women into being very successful as a CEO of a company. She also ran for governor in the state of Connecticut and ran for United States Senate, unfortunately unsuccessfully, because I think that she would have done one hell of a job because she knows how to run companies and all that. Now she's teaching women and working with women on leadership. So if you're a woman in the DFW area, you need to listen to this. If you have friends that are in business, that are looking for a mentor out there, there is nobody better than this lady. And we'd like to welcome Linda McMahon to our show. Welcome, Linda.
Good morning. Thank you. Wow, I don't know what to say after that fantastic introduction. That's kind of hard to live up to.
Okay, so I got to ask this, okay? And hopefully you remember, when was the first WrestleMania?
The first WrestleMania was 1985 in Madison Square Garden. We had Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper, Cyndi Lauper. It was an incredible star-studded. Oh, my goodness. It was a fantastic Liberace, if you could imagine.
Liberace?
Muhammad Ali, and we danced with the Rockettes. It was quite a show.
Yeah, and it was
it
was huge. I mean, how big an audience did you have, Linda?
Well, the Madison Square Garden was sold out to the max, and pay-per-view and closed-circuit TV, I think, added about a phenomenal number of about 1 million people who viewed it outside of the live audience. So it was quite awesome. Not as awesome as the WrestleMania 32, which is coming up on April 3rd. It's going to be in AT&T Stadium.
Oh, is it really?
So we're hoping,
and how many people do you think will be watching that?
Well, a live audience, we're expecting to break our own record of over 93,000 people, and WWE is now seen in over 150 countries and translated in over 25 languages.
Wow.
So we'll have a pretty good viewing audience around the world on WWE's own network now.
Yeah, and one of the things that's really changed, that business, every business across the country, across the world is, and in women, because you're working with a lot of women, with women leaders, how important has technology been to the overall picture of growing business?
Well, social media clearly is one of the ways that businesses, especially startups, are growing at such a rapid rate today. And it's one of the things that we will be bringing to our conference of Women's Leadership Live, which is the company that I have founded with my partners, Debbie Saviano and Stacy Shefflin. And actually, that's going to be at the Omni at Mandalay Hotel in May 19th through the 22nd coming up this year. So it's our first conference, and one of the breakout sessions, in fact, one of the keynotes, will also be on the use of social media and how to use it to grow your own business. So there'll be a lot to learn. But it is clearly one of the fastest ways to reach an ever-growing audience at pretty reasonable rates.
Yeah, and a lot of young entrepreneurs that are especially women. I mean, Lauren, who runs our social media from Crush Brands, the girl is 22 years old, and she is like masterful at social media. And a lot of these young entrepreneurs, my daughter sells cosmetic stuff through Unique, and she's one of the top salespeople in the country after 1 year, and her whole thing has been through social media. So when they come to these events, they get to learn from women like you, CEOs that have implemented, that have grown a heck of a business. Something like this, these younger women are the ones that really need to jump in there, because they're the ones that can learn so much from the powerhouses, and you truly are. This isn't kissing your butt. This is a powerhouse woman that's on the phone with us, because she is one of those people that understands. What are some of the keys of business that you think that women need to do now? Because it's still a man's world. We keep hearing about the income inequality with women. What are some of the things that women can do that can get that upper hand and get that edge?
Well, I'll tell you, I think women just continue to prove themselves in the marketplace given the opportunity. I mean, C-suites still have a glass ceiling. At WWE, I hired people not based on gender, but on ability. But I just think there are more and more women in the marketplace. In fact, we had a great number of women in the C-suite at WWE. Well, I was the CEO, so clearly it started at the top. But women just need to continue to have more confidence, and that's what, like our conference, will build. We want women to be more confident in themselves, and we have found, and studies have showed, that women have more confidence, typically get greater incomes, and get promotions faster when they have mentors and a community of support. Women need that more than men do. And if we can be a little wind beneath your wings and show you how to start your business by doing your business plans, making sure you have access to capital, understanding cash flow and how those tenets of business work for young entrepreneurs who maybe don't understand that as well. So we will have breakout sessions that will be specific for those kinds of startups, because after all, Women's Leadership Live is a startup itself, even though the three women, my two partners and I, who are leading it, are seasoned executives in what we do. We are, in fact, having another startup, and we can talk about that with the women who will attend.
Yeah, one of the things also, Linda, is when you were at the WWE negotiating contracts, and some of these contracts over the years have just gotten into the multi-millions of dollars. And our show's a lot about personal finance and money and all that. What advice would you give to some of these young women and women in general? Because you've seen some of these people, they just blow through all their money, they go broke. These young women, they don't know how to pay themselves first, I don't think, and some of the mistakes that these younger women make. But what advice would you give in the personal finance area of how to make some of these women, how to eliminate some of the mistakes that they make?
It's interesting. I met with a young woman not too long ago, and one of the things she told me was, she said, wow, we had this great idea. It was a great technology startup company. She had about 4 or 5 employees, and she had a big influx of capital from a venture capitalist. She said, wow, suddenly we had more money than we knew what to do with. She said, so we did things like we had a hot tub put in the office. We had great parties. We had champagne on Friday afternoons. And she said, instead of putting the money into the business and continually growing it, she said, we actually wound up blowing our seed capital and winding up with nothing. So the advice that you give to young entrepreneurs and startups is that cash flow is king. And even if you have an infusion of capital, constantly manage that cash flow so that there's more coming in than going out. And that's a very simple tenet to remember.
Okay, Linda McMahon, this is Amy. There is a female here on the show, but you'd never know it because we're male-driven over here as well. Mm-hmm. And we have a lot
Amy,
in common.
I know how that is, Amy, to be in a male-dominated environment.
That's right. Rodney's a powerhouse, so we let him talk first. But I too, am from Connecticut, so I relate to you.
Oh, Amy is former.
Weren't you Miss Connecticut?
Yeah, she was. She was formerly Miss Connecticut,
right.
and dealing with Donald Trump in the old days.
Listen, I am so grateful that this is radio and I don't have to stand next to you in television.
Aw, you're a beauty, inside and out, Linda. And we can learn so much from you because I, too, am an entrepreneur who is building my success through social media and online presence now that I've taken myself off TV in the marketplace. So this resonates with me, and I was really excited to learn about your Leadership Live conference. I know you're going to be in Irving in May, so I want to make sure we get all the details out to our listeners of how we can participate.
Well, I'll tell you, you can go to our website, womensleadershiplive.com. Registration form is you can go online and register. For the event, it's May 19th through the 22nd at the Omni Mandalay Hotel at Las Colinas in Irving, Texas. And, all the information, will be there. And it's just going to be, I think, an incredible 3.5 days with some unbelievable keynote speakers. We have an entrepreneur panel that will be part of one session. We have a corporate executive panel that's part of one session. We'll have Q&A. We'll have one-on-one sessions with our audience. And we're trying to limit the audience, to about 200 people. So we want it to be a bit more intimate. So I expect that the tickets are going to go pretty fast.
And how much are the tickets, Linda?
The list price on the tickets is $1,198.
Okay.
And that includes, all the meals. That includes all of the sessions, and all of the workbooks and the materials that will come part with that.
It's like a boot camp.
Let me tell you something. When you're spending 3.5 days, when you're spending that, break that down on how much it is a day. $300 or $400 a day. When you get the top women that are out there, the top CEO women that are out there, you don't buy the opportunities. You don't get to spend that much time with people like that. Linda, can you do me a favor? We need to take a break real quick. Can we hold you on the phone for a few minutes? Because I'd like to have a few more uplifting notes for women here, if you won't mind.
Well, you bet. I'd love to hang on.
Okay.
Your break.
That way Amy can ask.
I'm having a great time.
Yeah, that way Amy can ask some more questions.
Thank you.
Amy, let you and I talk when we come back.
Okay,
All
girl
right,
talk
we'll
when we
do
come
that.
back.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Okay.
We'll be right back. 1-800-EXPRESS is our number. Go to social media right now, at AmyVanderhoff.com, at R Anderson Radio. Ask a question that you want us to ask Linda. We'll get your participation, or call us at 1-800-EXPRESS. You can always email questions, RodneyAnderson.com. And Amy, Rob, and I will be right back with the show with our very special guest from the WWE. You've known her all around the world. Yes, one of the most powerhouse women in a man's industry, Linda McMahon, will be joining us.
You're listening to the Rodney Anderson Radio Show, right here on 1190 AM.
All right, welcome back to the show. Joining me as always around the show, running and producing the show, Rob the Baldwin, and Amy Vanderhoff is here, our very special guest of the day. She has worked with the WWE forever. She's one of the most incredible women out there as far as women leaders. She's very well respected out there in the man's world and the women's world, and she took this thing years ago called the WWE. Everybody knows who that is. I mean, Bruce, who is one of my assistants, when he called, he's like, "That's Linda McMahon? Oh, my God, you should have just seen him." So she is a woman powerhouse out there. But I'm going to turn the interview over to Amy, and welcome back, Linda.
Thank you. And Amy and I get to have a little girl talk.
There you go. We're going to let you have some girl time.
I want to talk a little bit about your political career because it's an important one. You made a Republican run in a blue state, Connecticut. My ex-husband made a similar run running in a Republican primary for U.S. Congress. And I know the slings and arrows that are dealt in those types of runs. Talk about the departure from WWE into that arena. It sounds like one insane business to the next.
Well, you could clearly say that going from WWE into the world of politics was a transition of one that I thoroughly enjoyed being with, and the other I learned a lot from. I did run for the Senate twice in the state of Connecticut, which is a very, very blue state, and I'm a Republican. So I was not successful in my run, but I'll tell you, I think we really, really shook up the party. We created a lot of interest in the race for 2010 and 2012. And it's interesting because I ran on a lot of the same platform that you're hearing about today, that there aren't enough business people, there are too many career politicians, there's not enough diversity, in Congress, and clearly I think we need to have more women in Congress. Only 20% of Congress is women. And, and just a little side note, Amy, about a week and a half ago when we had that incredible snowstorm that shut down the nation's capital, who was there to open up the Senate? Senator Murkowski from Alaska, and Susan Collins from Maine, and the Pages who came were women. So 2 women made it in, opened the Senate, and conducted the business of the day. So clearly we need more women in Congress. And in fact, one of the things that we will touch on Women's Leadership Live is we will talk about politics or trying to interest more women in politics and touching on policy. It will not be the heavy concentration of the conference, but we will have some conversation about that as well.
Linda, I think it's unfair to say your unsuccessful run. This sounds like it was a very successful run. Like you said, you're shaking things up. You're putting attention on these career politicians and these incumbents that are impossible sometimes to take out of power because the support and fear that surrounds them. So it sounds like you started many interesting conversations.
I want to know, Linda.
Well, I did.
Go ahead, Linda.
And I'll just say that when I was campaigning, one of the things that I found out the most, in fact, it was a little of the background for me transitioning into Women's Leadership Live, was that as I was campaigning, there were always a lot of young women and young girls young girls like 12, 14, 16 years old who would be at campaign stops or rallies, and they were often with their mothers, and I asked their mothers, I said, I really am surprised to see so many young women. I don't think that they're all WWE fans. And she said, no, the thing is that our young daughters and girls do not have many women role models. And so you have really become a role model for them. And I realized more and more at that time that there are so few women in leadership and role model capacity for our young women, young entrepreneurs, young women going into business, or older women who are transitioning from one career to the other. They've left the marketplace to raise their family. So there's so much need for our community of women to be supportive and instructive.
Yeah, and some of the things that happens in business and all out there, and you can address this a lot, is politics. Politics is so hard to talk about within a business, within social media and all that, because if you support the wrong candidate, boy, people can blow you up all across social media in today's environment. So there's a fine line that you got to walk as an entrepreneur in doing those things.
Well, you really do. And, there are some companies that really must remain agnostic because they can lose sponsors and that sort of thing. So I think from a business perspective, you often have to take the position that from a company policy, I know WWE did before I ran for it, and still even when I ran, there was no, compulsory vote getting there, and we never really tried to push one party over the other as individuals. Clearly, we encouraged you to register and to vote because I do think it is really, really important that we exercise our privilege of voting. But we at WWE never encouraged one candidate over the other.
Okay,
Maybe it was a little prejudice when I ran.
Yeah, you and Amy got a lot in common with one person. He was part of WWE. He's making his run for President of the United States. He's part of the Miss USA pageant when Amy was there and all that. Donald Trump, the businessman that's running. What do you think of Trump?
Well, I'll tell you, we've known Donald for 20 years. He's been in 2 or 3 WrestleMania skits with us. As a matter of fact, he and Vince were in a skit once, and the one who lost the match, or if his wrestler whom he backed lost the match, had to have his head shaved, and, well, of course, Vince lost. So his head had to be shaved. So we've known Donald for a long time. We know what a capable, extraordinary businessman he is. We know him as a friend who is very loyal and supportive. And I think that he is really shaking things up, on the campaign trail. There's so many people that are saying, yes, we're tired of someone who's politically correct. And I think, if he were elected, he would clearly be a very different kind of president. Now, I don't know exactly what that means, but I do know he would be a very different kind of president.
Yeah, I agree with that. Linda, let's talk about your event to close this thing out. I mean, Amy, I want you to go to that event. You're going to take time off radio. I'm going to pay for you to go to that event.
What?
Yeah, I'm going to. I can tell you this.
You've heard it there. Amy's going to get sponsored to go to WLL in May. That is awesome. You guys are making such an unbelievably smart decision. I cannot tell you what it'll do, I do believe, for Amy and what she will bring to us. And that's part of what this conference is about, is the interactiveness We will learn also from all of the women who come. We will learn from their issues. And this is our first conference, so we're going to, we'll be better by the second and third, though I think we bring a lot of expertise in. So
yeah, and I'm going to send another woman there. I'm going to send my 26-year-old daughter, who's an incredible woman, but she's a mom of 3, and how to run a business while you're a mom. And,
wow,
and those,
that's incredible. She's 26?
26.
Your daughter?
Yep, my daughter. She has a 4-year-old. She has 2 twins that are 2 years old. But the lady is a master. She is just a master marketer. She's built a business in a year selling what is it?
The eyelashes.
Eyelashes and a bunch of other stuff.
Mascara.
She's very,
wow.
very successful. But I want her to come to your event because she needs to learn from women like yourself on the biggest pitfalls of social media. And so you have 2 people out of 200 already signed up.
Yay!
Just from me.
Linda.
Hey, now we've got 2.
That's right.
Is this a slumber party, by the way? Can we sleep over at the Omni?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Listen, and I think what women find, and Amy, I think you'll attest to this as well, that we enjoy the community of each other, and it's so interesting the way WLL came about. My 2 partners met each other, and they worked together for a bit, and then they came to see me because they really thought that this idea had legs, and I knew Stacy Shefflin, who is she was a Ford model for 20 years, and now she is on Home Shopping Network in the United States and on several home shopping networks around the world selling YBF, Your Best Friend Beauty, one of the leading cosmetics, on home shopping around the world. So she is my other partner, and Debbie Saviano, former school teacher and principal, who is now our social media strategist. So the 2 of them came to me, and we just found that we have such an incredible synergy together and believe that this is going to be something, a way for us to give back, as I said, but it's a startup entrepreneurial business itself. So we're going to try to refresh our memories on the things that we've learned along the way as well. But I'll be so happy to have your 26-year-old daughter who started her company, and we'll learn from her, and she'll learn from us.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
I can't wait to have a glass of wine with you, Linda McMahon.
This is going to be so fun.
I can't wait. Okay, so we have to sign up for driving all of our people to that website, right? You can do it all online. Is that right?
Absolutely. And you know what? And we are also looking, for our corporate members in the area, and there are many, many significant corporations and in the area, and so they can send 4, 6, 10 of their women employees that I think will benefit their company as well as the employees themselves. So Irving, Texas is going to be the place to be, and Beth Bowman, who is the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce in Irving, has just been unbelievable at helping us pull this together. So she's going to be there also, and I think it's going to be phenomenal.
It is.
I think the biggest problem we're going to have is trying to limit the tickets so we can keep it,
That's right.
really an intimate gathering.
Then you
can look forward to it.
Yeah, then you can give your WrestleMania 2, and down the road it'll be your 32 event, right?
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, this is the WrestleMania 32.
Yep, it's a big deal, and Linda, you're a big deal, and we appreciate you being with us this morning.
Rodney, can I say real quick? I got some friends that listen. Well, my one friend that I have, he's listening at home. He listens to the show. His name is TC, and he's got about 50 Triple H T-shirts, and he's been texting me. Tell Linda what's up. Tell her he's so happy you brought Triple H into the family.
He's got 50 Triple H T-shirts.
At least.
Well, Triple H is. He is one of my favorite superstars in WWE, and you may very well know he's also my son-in-law.
Yes, ma'am, sure do.
So, well, we are. I know you took over the amount of time that you had told us and all that, Linda, but we appreciate you so much. Amy, Rob, and I, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for being on our show. We look forward to your event, and we want to have you back before your event.
Oh, thank you. Well, we'll be back. We'll be back down in March.
Okay.
Around March 22nd, 23rd.
Well, we'll have to check in with you on ticket sales and help you promote it. And but you've got 2 for sure.
That is so awesome. Thank you so very much, and thank you for the time this morning. It was so fun to talk to all of you.
Absolutely.
All right. I appreciate it, and we'll
Bye-bye.
talk. Thank you. Bye now. All right.
How fun!
I know, wasn't that
Awesome.
fun?
I'm gonna go hang out with Linda.
I
Yes,
know.
you are.
Rodney, was that my Valentine's
Yeah,
Day
that's
gift?
it. There you
Don't be
go.
forgetting your Twitter and Instagram and all that during there. You know.
You
Yeah,
got
that's
it.
right. You better be
I gotta bring
plugging
Lauren
our
with me.
show like crazy.
I'm bringing Laura with me.
All right.